or silence your phone. Anyone who does not mute or silence their phone may be muted by the call moderator or asked to leave. Additionally, if you are not a board member or the CEO and her staff, please turn your video off if you are virtual. And have we started virtually? We're live. Thank you. I'll now read a roll call of the board to identify who is present. Commissioners, please identify yourself for the record. Vice Chair Roberts.
Present.
Commissioner Coy.
Present, Commissioner Coy.
Commissioner Esposito.
Commissioner Esposito, present.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Present.
Commissioner Lawson.
Commissioner Lawson, present.
Commissioner Muhammad.
Present.
Commissioner Reed.
Present.
Commissioner Sally.
Commissioner Sally is present.
Oh, I see the screen, so let's try that again. I see
Oh.
Commissioner Coy. Commissioner Coy, are you present?
Present, Commissioner Coy.
Great, it's just faint. I can't really hear. We can support with the sound, turning that up so that we can hear everyone. And I see Commissioner Esposito. Esposito, are you present?
Yes, I said present.
Thank you. We just couldn't hear on our end if you spoke or not. They're turning it up for us now. Thank you. And I also see Commissioner Sally. Are you present?
Yes, Commissioner Sally is present this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Commissioner Slater Harrington, present.
Thank you. I'm also present. That is 9 members present with 1 absent. Is there a motion to reopen the meeting? Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second, Kenyatta Bay.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Coy?
I would like to note for the record that 3 members of the board who were joining virtually were excluded from a portion of the executive session that we had voted to open, but I do vote to reopen this meeting now.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Coy. Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson? Commissioner Muhammad?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Present.
Commissioner Sally?
Commissioner Sally, yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Slater Harrington?
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes with 9 present and 1 absent. Is there a motion to approve the prior session? Did we have performers? Was Hazelwood Elementary with us tonight? They weren't here. I just see their names here. Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the prior open session minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater Harrington. All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sally?
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson, are you in favor of approving the prior open session minutes?
Commissioner Lawson, yes.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion to approve the closed session summaries? Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second, Kenyatta Bay.
Thank you. All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts? Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson?
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sally?
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington?
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously. I want to turn it over to Commissioner Muhammad for some comments tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our May 15th board meeting.
Thank you for joining us. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health is fundamental to our well-being, yet it is often overlooked or misunderstood. This month, we aim to change that. To show the district's commitment, we are providing resources and organizing various activities that promote mental health awareness for our students and families. For instance, all month long, the district is hosting parent engagement and coaching opportunities for student wellness. Coaching sessions will help parents address bullying, substance use, emotional regulation, and protecting their children on social media. The next coaching sessions are scheduled for Wednesday, May the 22nd and Wednesday, May the 29th. Learn more about these sessions by visiting the event calendar on City Schools website. The district is also has a new virtual mental health service for all students. Through our partnership with Hazel Health, students now have access to mental health support at home and at school at no cost to families. Hazel Health provides therapy through video sessions with licensed therapists. More information on therapy sessions is forthcoming. For staff, several mental health and wellness care resources are provided through our employee health insurance. In addition to those options, staff can also participate in free counseling through the Guidance Resource Employee Assistance Program. This program partners with ComPsych to offer staff 24/7 access to guidance for relationship, marital conflicts, job pressures, stress, anxiety, depression, and more. For more information, please visit the Employee Wellness Program webpage on the City Schools website. I implore you all to take advantage of these resources by holding open conversations about mental health challenges and actively working towards reducing stigma. You are taking the necessary steps towards maintaining good mental health. Next, City Schools is introducing a new way for students to play and stay active with City Schools esports. City Schools esports is a 9-week pilot program for 10 middle and high schools across the district, giving students a chance to explore the esport gaming industry. Students are introduced to programming through a standard-based curriculum. Students will put their skills to test in an esports tournament this Thursday, May 16th, at the Medfield Recreation Center. Best luck to all the students participating. Lastly, applications are open for the Baltimore City School Board for school commissioners until May the 20th. If you have not done so, please apply and join this amazing team. Your passion for education and community involvement will be a great asset to our board. Join now and echo the voices of Baltimore's youth, families, and community members. Again, the deadline is Monday, the 20th. Learn how to apply by visiting the board webpage on the City Schools website. Thank you much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Muhammad. And just another bit of a push for school board members. Our board is unique in its design. In addition to having the great perspectives of our elected members, our 2 members who have been elected at large, who bring a wealth of expertise and community knowledge to the board, our board is also mandated by law to have parents on our board, educators on our board, folks with large scale business acumen and experience, and folks who have an understanding and awareness of special education. And so as we are promoting board work and board service. We're encouraging all of us as stakeholders of the greater Baltimore City community to encourage folks to apply, to be a part of this board, as we are committed to improving outcomes for each of our children in our city. That is the responsibility of our board, to be good stewards of the system. And so we're encouraging folks to apply. We're encouraging folks to apply, to be a part of this work. So thank you very much. There are no donations that have been reported at this time. And so is there a motion to approve the personnel, the PEP and quasi judicial matters?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second, Kenyatta Bay.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Santelises for CEO comments.
Thank you, Board Chair. Good evening, everybody. Good to see everyone. This evening will begin with our PEP agenda, and I'm going to invite Chief Emily Nielsen, our Human Capital Officer, for this evening's PEP agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Santelises. Good evening, Board Commissioners. On tonight's PEP from the Office of the Chief Academic Officer, appointments recommended that Emma Gerson, currently Educational Specialist 2, Special Education, be appointed Coordinator Due Process Compliance Investigations effective May 16th, 2024. Joining us online. Recommended that Karen Sandu, currently Educational Associate ESOL with Baltimore County Public Schools, be appointed Educational Specialist 2 ESOL effective July 1st, 2024. Recommended that Nadine Serbanich, currently Psychologist with Green Street Academy, be appointed Educational Specialist 2 Parent Response Unit effective May 16th, 2024. Appointments from the Office of the Chief of Schools. Recommended that Narida Encobia, currently resident principal at Commodore John Rogers, be appointed principal at Gardenville Elementary effective July 1st, 2024. Recommended that Elisa Dijon, currently IEP Associate at Ben Franklin High School, be appointed Assistant Principal at Morgan-Feller Vocational Technical High effective June 17th, 2024. Recommended that Demetria Hooten, currently Coordinator 9th grade on track at Reginald F. Lewis High School, be appointed Assistant Principal at Reginald F. Lewis High School effective July 1st, 2024. Recommended that Brandy Mahoney, currently Math Coach 12-month at Beachfield Elementary Middle School, be appointed Assistant Principal at Beachfield effective July 1st, 2024. The beach is bringing the spirit tonight. Congratulations. Recommended that Lance McCoy, currently principal at Baltimore County Public Schools, be appointed assistant principal at Empowerment Academy effective June 17th, 2024. Recommended that Yasmin Thomas, currently educational associate at Marianne Winterling, be appointed assistant principal at North Bend Elementary Middle effective July 1st, 2024. And from the Office of the Chief of Schools, reassignments, recommended that Lori Bush, currently assistant principal at Carver Vocational Technical High School, be reassigned assistant principal at Patterson High effective July 1st, 2024. Recommended that Bernard Dezern, currently assistant principal at Carver Vocational Technical High School, be reassigned assistant principal at Morgan-Fowler Vocational Technical High School effective June 17th, 2024. Recommended that Deshauna Frank, currently assistant principal at Johnson Square Elementary, be reassigned assistant principal at Matthew A. Henson Elementary, effective July 1st, 2024. Recommended that Katie Grant, currently assistant principal at Matthew A. Henson Elementary, be reassigned assistant principal at Rosemont Elementary Middle, effective July 1st, 2024. Recommended that Janine Lindsay, currently assistant principal at Walter P. Carter Elementary Middle School, be reassigned assistant principal at Coppin Academy High School. Recommended that Shalonda Lyons, currently assistant principal at Walter P. Carter Elementary Middle School, be reassigned assistant principal at Garrett Heights Elementary Middle School, effective July 1st, 2024. Recommended that Mallory Wright, currently assistant principal at Roland Park Elementary Middle School, be reassigned assistant principal at Western High School, effective July 1st, 2024. And on the CEO notification, an appointment from the Office of the Chief of Schools recommended that Dr. Stacy Place-Dosay, currently interim Chief of Schools, be appointed Chief of Schools. And from the Office of the Chief Operations Officer, an interim appointment recommended that Maurice Gaskins, currently Director of Construction Operations, be appointed Interim Executive Director of Facilities effective May 3rd, 2024. Congratulations to everyone PEP'd on tonight's report.
Thank you, Chief Nielsen. As has become our practice, I will give a little bit more information about Principal Ancobia. She began her career at City Schools as a classroom teacher over 16 years ago. She is currently resident principal at Commodore John Rogers Elementary Middle and previously served for 5 years as assistant principal at Furley Elementary. Ms. Ancobia is committed to ensuring that all students receive the resources and support that they need to thrive. She holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Maryland Global Campus and a master's in teaching from Johns Hopkins University School of Education. Congratulations again, Principal Ancobia. Woo! I do just want to say, clearly the new lighting, carpet, and paint is doing something because y'all are just revving up these days. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So I had the privilege this past week of being able to celebrate 2 what I like to call Best in the Business awards last week, and it really is an honor for City Schools. So I'm going to start with the first announcement this year is that we know now that Baltimore City is home to the Maryland State Principal of the Year.
Who is it? Who is it?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I am pleased this evening to announce to everyone that Principal Yetunde Reeves, school leader, she's the school leader at Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School. And she was chosen by as Principal of the Year by the Maryland Association of Secondary School Principals. At the surprise presentation ceremony held at Dunbar last week, Ms. Addie Kaufman, who is the Executive Director of MASSP, stated that Principal Reeves was the unanimous That's right, unanimous choice of the selection committee. And at city schools, we've always known that she is the epitome of effective personal leadership. I remember in my first conversation with Principal Reeves, and I'm doing better tonight because I was crying last week. I do remember that one of the things that Principal Reeves said to me is, I promise you that Dunbar High School will be one of the best high schools in Baltimore City. And that has in fact come to pass with flying colors. And our communications team, because not everyone could be there, did a lovely video that I hope is ready this evening. Is it? Because I don't want to introduce it, y'all, if it's not ready. Oh, there it is. It's ready. So we would like for everybody to be able to enjoy this video.
In the heart of Dunbar High School, Principal Reeves stands as a guiding force, shaping a school culture centered on the well-being and safety of every student and staff member. Dr. Reeves works tirelessly to make Dunbar a place where children want to learn and grow, and a place where they feel safe, their needs are met, and they are challenged academically to succeed at the highest levels. Dr. Reeves leads with love. Since coming to Dunbar High School, Dr. Reeves has intentionally created a culture of care at Dunbar. Today, I have the honor and the privilege of presenting the MASSP 2024-25 Principal of the Year Award to Dr. Yetunde Reeves. It is absolutely a pleasure and an honor to see a leader who exemplifies what a high school principal in Baltimore City can do when they care about the culture, climate, and well-being of their students, but never, ever relinquishes the academic call to prepare them to excel in the world outside of high school. We're so thrilled that the state recognizes what we already do. 5 years ago, when I took this assignment, I knew I had to prove some doubters wrong. And so this is like redemption for me on many levels, but it's also what I was born and raised to do, which is make sure that young people have just limitless options. And I know a lot of credit is given to the leader, but this doesn't happen without a staff and students and families and district support. So I'm incredibly grateful and honored that I was selected for this honor. And I also just want to give credit and appreciation to my parents who've just given me the foundation to be an educator. So I'm honored, I'm grateful, and I'm just really, really humbled that I was chosen. So thank you. You are truly an exceptional leader who deserves for us to be congratulating you today.
So before we invite Dr. Reeves,
congratulations once again.
Okay, great. I didn't want to cut that short. Before we invite Dr. Reeves up front to receive our district recognition and take pictures with both myself and the board, we invite her this evening to share some of her thoughts and reflections on this honor.
I just want to say thank you again for giving me this platform tonight to just be celebrated. I live around the corner from my school, and so if you can imagine, every day I wake up and I'm excited to go to work. I really believe that the students are giving me more than what I'm giving them. We've seen a lot of just excitement and energy and enthusiasm. And so when you have this vision of Black and brown children going to college, and to be able to see that every day happen, it's just really exciting. And I have to just acknowledge my staff. Like there's this high bar that I hold myself to, but I hold them to a high bar as well. And so to have people willing and ready to just trust, sometimes it's a new idea, sometimes it's something that I have to kind of explain, encourage people to do, but people have really trusted the vision. And I think that's why we're seeing this success. So it's wonderful being on Orleans Street. And I'm just really proud of what we've been able to do. And it's just beginning because we definitely have more work to do. So thank you again.
Good. So we'd like to invite you forward, and I'll invite the board to come up front as well so that we can all take a picture with our Maryland State Principal of the Year. So, as I said, last week was one of the best weeks that I have as CEO. It started with Dr. Reeves's honor. Then we moved into Teacher Appreciation Week, and I had the opportunity
It appears the audio from the room has been
24
muted.
city schools. Thank you. To celebrate and surprise our 2024 City Schools Teacher of the Year, Ms. Kat Locke Jones, who teaches 7th grade English Language Arts at Hampstead Hill Academy. Can we give her a big round of applause? And before we invite both of them up, again, we want to give you a little snapshot into our absolutely effervescent 2024 Teacher of the Year, Ms. Lojo, who I felt very privileged that I could use like the name the students use. And so I'm going to ask our team, is our video ready for this one? Awesome. We're going to cue this up as well. Good afternoon, Hampstead Hill Academy. This is Dr. Sonia Santelises. I am the CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools, and I am here today to share the news that a teacher here at Hampstead Hill, Ms. Lojo, is Baltimore City Public Schools Teacher of the Year.
Here at Hampstead Hill Academy, the staff knows and loves Kat Locke Jones and her students. They come out and produce great work and great effort for her every day. Her passion for the work spills over into her work, her teammates. Everybody just feels the energy that she brings to work every day, and you can't manufacture that. Kat is truly a teacher's teacher. She believes in making connections with kids and Couldn't be more excited, couldn't be more proud.
I absolutely love every year Teacher of the Year because it really celebrates excellence in teaching. You could see today with Ms. Lojo, young people pouring out into the halls because our students know who our best teachers are.
Ms. Lojo has been a great teacher this year because there are some things like essays that it was really hard for me to understand, and Ms. Lojo helped break it down and learn it. And she also helped a lot with preparing for the ELA MCAP by teaching us how to use our paper, to use notes, and they're really helpful all year.
She teaches us really well. She teaches us extremely well. And everything that she teaches us is really meaningful. It's helped us a lot.
The reason I think Ms. Lojo is a really, really good teacher, especially just towards me as a student athlete, is because she tutors us in the mornings. She helps us with our essays. She helps us prepare for the MCAP, which is a big part into us getting a good composite score to get to the places that we want to go.
I think the thing that I'm most proud of is our students. Anytime we have an opportunity to give them the mic, to let them tell their story, it's a beautiful thing. So getting to be here and be a witness to their stories is the biggest honor that I'll ever have in my entire life. And it's what makes teaching so magical every day.
Ms. Lojo is a living example of how heart, mind come together to really teach the whole child. And I'm just so proud, so thrilled for Baltimore City, so thrilled for Principal Hornbeck and the Hampstead Hill team here for this year's 2024 City Schools Teacher of the Year. We love you, Ms. Lojo! Absolutely. I'm going to invite them both up. Both Principal Hornbeck and Ms. Lojo, but I do want to say one thing, and I'm thrilled that our comms team had a chance to capture it. I will tell you to stand there and literally watch an entire middle school pour out of the classrooms to celebrate this teacher is a high that no chemical can give you. And I will just say this, that knowing that there are teachers who young people know teach them well. They know that they are learning and they know they are cared for is a common thread through both our Principal of the Year and our Teacher of the Year, in that they both do not see excellence and care for young people as two separate bins. They are integrated, and what she will not tell you, but I'm sure her principal will tell you, is that on top of all of this, Ms. Locke Jones has one of the highest performing middle school ELA classes in the state of Maryland. So with that, I will turn it over to Principal Hornbeck, who will then turn it over to our 2024 Teacher of the Year.
You stole my thunder. No, it's good. There'll be more details. Good evening, Dr. Santelises, members of the board. Thanks so much for having us. I'm here to let you know that Kat Locke Jones is, as I said in the video, a teacher's teacher, respected in every aspect of her work. In spite of class sizes over 35, Ms. Locke Jones maintains an incredibly high standard for herself and her students. Teaching seventh graders how to write well is a gift that lasts a lifetime and will lead to admission to better colleges and to better jobs. 47% of seventh graders passed the seventh grade ELA MCAP assessment last year in Maryland. Ms. Lojo, as Dr. S. and I are allowed to call her, as she is so affectionately referred to at school, had a pass rate of 82% last year. And at Hampstead Hill, we're departmentalized, so Lojo teaches every single seventh grader in the school. Beyond the test scores, which are sky high and place her students in rare air, Kat clearly loves what she does and cares deeply about her students. I love that she has a hook and an arc and a closing persuasive argument for every lesson and very nearly every conversation she has, especially with me. She's a student of human nature. She gets to know her students and what makes them tick. And then she brings phenomenally well-planned lessons to the table. And she does it day after day, year after year. In my experience, no one is better planned, no one manages a class better, and I will argue that no one teaches a more important subject. And she works with middle schoolers. Finally, many of our staff gathered today for a watch party this afternoon to see Kat and her father featured on the Jennifer Hudson Show to highlight Mental Health Awareness Month. It's with great pride and respect that I introduce my Teacher of the Year, your Teacher of the Year, Kat Lock-Jones, to the Board of School Commissioners. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Principal Hornbeck. That was so kind. I'm about to tear up. I'm so incredibly honored to represent teachers from Baltimore City Public Schools as the 2024 Teacher of the Year. Whenever I tell someone that I'm a middle school English teacher, the first question they ask is, oh, what books do you teach? And as I go down the list, as soon as I get to The Giver by Lois Lowry, they usually stop and say, oh, that was one of my favorite books. But what confuses me is most of the time when I talk to adults, they forget the entire plot of the book. Sure, they remember that there was a Dumbledore-esque old man on the cover, but they never mention the reason why Lowry's book has been on the challenge or ban list since 1993. Now, it's been 30 years since Lowry published the book, but as English teachers, we take an oath not to spoil what happens in any text, so I won't reveal the big twist of the novel. But I will tell you that the reason why the book is banned is because it tackles tough mental health issues. As a teacher, talking and supporting students around mental health is something that can seem sticky, something much too heavy matched with the world of standardized tests and the proper use of a semicolon. I get it. But the conversation around mental health inside our classrooms is an important one to have. Our students don't drop their mental health backpacks outside our classroom doors before they walk in. They carry their hopes, their traumas, their coping mechanisms with them, whether or not they have a pencil in their hand. These invisible backpacks that our students carry are not too different from the ones we carry ourselves. And as the oldest sister of 6 kids, my emotional backpack is filled with a healthy-ish dose of perfectionism and reminders to my younger siblings that our dad's birthday is coming up and we need to think of a gift. Usually, the response from my younger brothers is, drop the Venmo amount. But my brother Sean no longer answers in the group chat. He doesn't pick up the phone and call me when he's unsure what tie to wear with a dress shirt. Sean can't lace up his sneakers and wear his number, 24, on his basketball jersey anymore. His backpack must have been filled with heaviness and darkness that he thought we wouldn't understand. Sean lost his battle with depression and took his own life at the age of 23, a few weeks before his 24th birthday. When I tell this story about Sean, the big sister in me, the teacher in me, wants to say, but hey, that's not it. Sean, like so many of our students, wasn't just a kid who struggled with his mental health. I want to paint the picture of my little brother that shows you that struggling with your mental health doesn't make you less of a person. It just makes you a person. The darkness of depression doesn't dim the light you show others. It merely bends it in ways that makes it difficult for you to see yourself. Mental health is not a problem. It's a part of the human experience that needs to be met with policy and purpose, which is why I'm so proud to be a Baltimore City teacher. The teachers in the district, the people in this room are not in the business of making this idea of a mental health backpack go away, but rather carrying the backpack for our students when needed, showing them strategies to help shift that weight or make it lighter altogether. Mental health education is grounded in the belief that people, Baltimore City people, are inherently good and have the capacity to learn, grow, and change. And when you make that the idea of your classroom, the foundation, your do-nows, your conversations with parents, you create an environment where people feel connected, respected, and valued. That students have the language to build community and relationships by themselves, outside your classroom. Your classroom doesn't just exist for the 5-paragraph essay, but becomes a place where it mirrors the lives of our students, windows into the realities of others' experiences, and a sliding glass door where students realize that they are part of the brave spaces we create. The English teachers here probably knew I was coming back to The Giver. The real reason why the book is so many people's favorite is not complicated. It's not because adults are drawn to a plot about teenagers who wear a very ugly beige tunic every day. The real reason why people remember their love for The Giver decades after reading it is because when they were in middle school, they could relate to a 12-year-old who felt a loss of identity, a loss of connection, and was struggling to find themselves in a world without brave spaces. The Giver isn't a dystopian novel without community. It's a novel where the community isn't ready to have the conversation around mental health. To the board, to the people in this room, I am incredibly humbled by your commitment to create brave spaces for our students, to teach them how to have conversations about mental health as much as we teach them about the semicolon. And as you do that, you will continue to be the givers for the next generations of kids. Thank you.
Okay, I don't.
Hornbeck, can I say something
Oh,
real quick?
please, go ahead.
So Dr. Hornbeck, I mean, look like this is all coming from a place of love, but reinforce the number in terms of the MCAT score.
So 47% of students statewide passed, got a 3 or 4 on the MCAP 7th grade ELA assessment last year. And Ms. Lojo, who teaches every single one of the more than 100 7th graders at Hampstead Hill, we have 920 kids in the school, and she teaches every single one of the 7th grade students. 82% across all demographic groups passed the MCAP, got a 3 or 4. And Kat, I'd be remiss, do you know offhand, you probably do, there's another stat we talk about in terms of the 4s. Do you know that offhand? Can you share that with us?
So 26% of my students scored a 4 on the MCAP, which is the highest, which I just think goes to show when I talk about these numbers, sometimes people think, oh, what school district do you teach at? And the answer is always Baltimore City. And how dare you think anything else?
So I will say, and thank you for that question, Commissioner Reed, because I thought I was going to break out in tears. So now we would love to invite you forward to celebrate you again, Ms. Lojo, with our board, and to say thank you for all you do for our young people.
So I knew as soon as they give it, I'm like,
Congratulations.
And I would also like to congratulate our 2 finalists for Teacher of the Year, Ms. Molly Smiderman, kindergarten teacher at Commodore John Rogers Elementary Middle, and Mr. Brandon Booth, vocal music teacher at Connections Community-Based Art School. Congratulations to all our semifinalists and to all of our teachers throughout city schools for everything you do every single day. And this concludes my remarks for this evening's chair.
Great, thank you very much. I am going to move, so after public comment, DeWanna, the presentation on the end of the legislative session. I want to make sure that we acknowledge our stakeholders and community members who are present. And so I'm going to review the consent agenda, and then I'm going to go back to item 5.01 so that we can get to our public comment tonight. And so we have item 9.01, the FY25 budget. Item 9.02, FY24 Quarter 3 budget amendments. Item 10.01, FY24 Quarter 3 year-to-date budget and expenditures. Item 10.02, Policy FFA, naming a school facility, Edmondson Gym. Item 10.03, Policy JLCDB, anaphylaxis, identification and treatment in schools. This should not be there. So 10.01, 10.02, and 10.03, they're information items. I'm not sure why I have them here. Right, they're information items. And so disregard 10.02, 10.03, and 10.01. They're all information items. Item 12.01, VEX Robotics, VEX Robotics Incorporated. Item 12.02, Goucher College. Item 12.03, the Ingenuity Project Incorporated. Item 12.04, Follett School Solutions. Item 12.05, Therapeutic and Non-Therapeutic Aid Services. Item 12.06, Frog Street Press, LLC. Item 12.07, McGraw-Hill, LLC. Item 20.01, the Fund for Educational Excellence, Chicago Parent Program. That's 20.01. Thank you. We will now move to public comment. Speakers from recognized groups, as it is our practice, will have the opportunity to speak for 5 minutes. First, we have Ms. Sheila Billups, who is the chair of CCAC, the Special Education Citizens Advisory Committee. Good evening, Ms. Billups.
Good evening, Dr. Santalise and all the members of the board. It is said that I come to you first with some information that I have received from a person named Carla Harris. She printed some information and signed my name to it. I'm acknowledging it here. I gave her no permission to put my name on anything related to CCAT or the information she came with about the autism, the signs that mimic autism. I have nothing to do with this information, and I want it to be known that I did not give her information. She claims to be a member of CCAT. Well, we have rules, we have bylaws. No one is supposed to print anything without the executive committee and the special education department knowing about it. She done this without my approval. I gave her an opportunity to speak for a few minutes on Autism Month as a community member. I questioned her about her job or occupation. She told me she was an instructor, a teacher. I found out she's a PERS educator. I found out the school that she worked in.
So, Ms. Billups, what I would like to ask is that we any identifying information like that, if we can keep it out and just give us the information that you have about that being presented to the board without the approval of CCAT.
Thank you.
Yes,
I just
ma'am.
want to be aware that I have no part in this. Now I can move forward. In June of 2024, we'll be having our executive committee member election. There's chairperson, vice chair, recording secretary, correspondence secretary, parliamentarian, and treasurer. Also, we're looking for new members to be a part of our team. We accept special ed students, former students, voting member. If you want to be a voting member or non-voting member, we're looking for you to join. I'd like to share with the commissioners that the Facebook page is up and running. And on Monday night, we had our first person to come. She's now became a member. So thanks for giving me that information on how to push CCAT out there. So I'm sorry I had to come with that, but I'm very, very upset that somebody signed my name to something that I had no part of. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Billups. Thank you very much. We now have Zach Taylor representing the Baltimore Teachers Union.
I'm sorry, Chair. I'm having a little problem with the video.
Okay, are we not able to pull it up, or we just need a little time?
Give me one moment. Let me reload it. It stopped loading.
Sure.
Tonight, BTU needs to express our deep concern over the persistent delays, the mistakes, and contract violations with regard to our recently negotiated contract and their salary increases. Many people have received their salary increases, but many have not. And most importantly, many of the retroactive payments that were due for pay for work done in August, for work done even in July, have not yet happened. BTU understands that there are many tasks involved when implementing new pay scales, which is exactly why school board representatives in the district negotiate a delayed implementation schedule so that there would be enough time to complete all of these tasks. Yet this hasn't been enough. BTU and BCPS had a tentative agreement all the way back in January, and we fully ratified it at the school board in late February. Yet over 100 days, City Schools has failed to fully implement these raises. Full raises were supposed to go in April 26th, and retroactive pay was supposed to happen for all retro pays on May 10th. This hasn't happened in a comprehensive way. The district has failed to meet these contractual obligations, and when BTU has followed up, we're just not even getting responses at this point on many, many questions. This is unacceptable, and from an organizational standpoint, it's embarrassing. We have teachers talking about how when they've previously worked in Baltimore County, PG County, elsewhere, this never happened. We've received hundreds of complaints from teachers, from clinicians last week regarding the district's lack of actions. Teachers and clinicians feel disrespected by the district's blasé attitude and its lack of oversight when it comes to its fundamental obligation to its staff to pay them on time and to pay them accurately. Teachers have not received the retro payments for stipend work like tutoring, for taking students on overnight field trips when you leave your family for sometimes multiple nights in a row, for New Teacher Summer Institute all the way back in August. They haven't received retroactive payments for summer school, and over 100 teachers were supposed to receive an additional salary increase for work done in past years, for achievement units that were in their balance in August of 2023. This was all supposed to be implemented already, and it hasn't happened despite the explicit language in our contract that calls this out. From what we can tell, the district has also made many mistakes in calculating the increases for some teachers. But we haven't received meaningful responses when we've tried to follow up on these items. We've emailed multiple times making it very explicit what we have questions about, and we are not receiving comprehensive answers. This is not the first time that BTU has raised these issues before. During an operations committee last year, I made a public comment directly to committee members, many of you are here, about the persistent errors and delays we face when it comes to our pay increases. This has been a long-standing issue, and these problems with our compensation have been years long, and it's really come to a head right now. During meetings throughout the spring, because of these issues, BTU was told that the district would send a clear communication to all teachers detailing what salary transitions would occur and how achievement unit balances would move and what dates would be used. Instead, there's been no communication like that at all. It was supposed to be individualized, and it hasn't happened whatsoever. When we've tried to follow up on it, BTU has been ignored. This has compounded confusion among staff, as the district's self-service contains many known errors. We all know this. District's own self-service sometimes will say you're on one pay level when you're actually on another. We need this fixed. There are only 3 paychecks left this school year. Time is running out, and your teachers need to see a sense of urgency from the district. When teachers make public comments in school board meetings, we know that the board follows up with administrators. Tonight, we need you to do that within your own central office. Teachers would never be permitted to treat students this way. When grade deadlines are missed, staff are reprimanded, and there's urgent action to make it right. But when teachers aren't paid on time, or when mistakes are made in their pay, there's no urgency that we're seeing. There's no communication, and there's a lack of action to make it right. Teachers feel that all the accountability falls on them, and there's no accountability exercise to ensure that they receive what they are owed. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, but teachers are appreciated with actions like timely paychecks and accurate paychecks. We need these retroactive pays to be made right. We need our increases. We need you to work with us. We need this fixed. Time is running out this school year. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now turn it over to the board executive, Dr. Judkins, for public comment.
Thank you, Chair. Our first public comment is Joel Pally from Western High School, and topic is staff working conditions. This will be a video.
School employees should make at least $25 an hour because we all have rent to pay, we have groceries to buy, we have families to take care of, and $25 an hour is the absolute least that we can make do and make all of those things happen in our lives to sustain our work and to sustain our lives on at least that much.
School employees should at least get paid $25 an hour because they take at least 8 hours out of their day to come here and teach us. If not teach, they help us. And you know, they give us more knowledge so that we can become a better person in life and succeed in life. So I think $25 is at least the minimum.
Staff should get paid $25 an hour because if you really think about it, they really work hard. And minimum wage is not enough. Especially for the janitors, they be coming here like 6 in the morning to work, to clean the bathroom. Then they gotta stay extra hours after school to clean the building. I feel like they should get paid more than what they're getting paid now.
And I feel like the homeowners should get paid actually do work. And I feel like it's put their life at risk because they gotta break up fights, and it's just a real dangerous situation. So.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from Irma Lopez, and topic is access to speech therapy for Spanish-speaking families. This will also be a video.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Irma López y soy madre de la escuela Fort Worthington Elementary.
Good afternoon. My name is Irma Lopez, and I'm a mother at the Fort Worthington Elementary School.
Para mí es un éxito tener a mi hijo en kindergarten en Fort Worthington.
I'm proud to have my son in kindergarten at Fort Worthington.
Mi hijo participa en el programa de terapia de habla.
And my son is part of the speech therapy program at this school.
La verdad es que ha sido de mucha ayuda para mi hijo.
And honestly, it's been a huge help for my son.
Para familias latinas poder pedir terapias como terapias de habla. A veces es difícil si no hay suficiente personal bilingüe en la escuela.
For Latino families like ours, asking for therapies like speech therapy at school can be a little bit hard, especially if there's not that many bilingual staffers at the school.
Mi sugerencia es que todas las escuelas tengan más personal bilingüe para conectar a los padres con los servicios como terapias de habla.
My suggestion is that every school should have more bilingual staffers to be able to connect those parents with the services that their children need, like speech therapy.
Para mi hijo, porque mi hijo se ha beneficiado mucho de esta ayuda.
Because my son has benefited greatly from this type of help.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next public comment is from Felicita Cano, and agenda topic is need for interpreters. This will also be a video.
Hola, mi nombre es Felicita, soy mexicana y la escuela de mi hija se llama Mervo.
Hi, my name is Felicitas. I am Mexican, and my daughter's school is called Mervo.
Y mi hija se gradúa este año, está en 12 grado y pues no sé cómo está en sus estudios.
My daughter is graduating this year. She is in 12th grade, and honestly, I have no idea how she's doing in her studies.
Porque nadie habla español allá y es por eso que yo no sé nada, si ella necesita algo, si hay que comprar algo, no sé nada.
And it's because no one at the school speaks Spanish, so I'm not able to reach out to anyone. I don't know anything about what's going on, if she needs help with anything. I don't know anything.
Porque cuando llaman para saber de ella, pues me dicen que no hay nadie que hable español y pues me gustaría que haya más personas que hablen español y así podré saber cómo está mi hija en su estudio.
Because every time I call, they tell me that there's no one that speaks Spanish. And so I hope that we can get more people that work at the schools that do speak Spanish, so I'm able to know how my daughter and my other children are doing in school.
Lo único que sé desde ahora es lo que ella me dice, que si va bien. Es lo único que sé, pero de parte de los maestros no sé nada.
The only way I'm able to know anything is if I ask her, and I ask her if it's going well. But when it comes to the teachers, there's no way for me to know.
Y pues me gustaría pues, que los maestros me avisaran, que me llame si ella está bien, si va bien, si va a graduar este año, si necesita algo.
So I want the teachers to be able to reach out to me and let me know, is everything good? Is there something that she needs help with? Is she going to be able to graduate this year?
Y pues gracias, eso sería todo. Pues,
thank you, that's all.
Thank you. Next public comment is from Anna Acosta, Fort Worthington Elementary Middle. Topic is interpreters and bilingual teachers. This is also a video.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ana Acosta, soy de la escuela Fort Worthington.
Good afternoon, my name is Ana Acosta. I am a mother from Fort Worthington.
Mi caso es sobre mi hija con el problema, se puede decir así, que tengo con ella con el inglés.
My testimony is about my daughter and the problem that I am having with her at school, which has to do with English.
Porque en realidad necesito que si pudiera haber más personal bilingüe.
What I really need is more bilingual teachers.
Porque el detalle es que necesito, porque cuando dejan tareas,
and the reason why is because when they have homework,
yo le digo, mami, hagamos las tareas, pues ella responde, mamá, ¿me puedes ayudar por favor a traducirlo?
And when I tell her it's time to do homework, she asks me to help translate her homework for her.
Entonces, sí quisiera que tomaran en cuenta mi testimonio para poder ayudarme a mí y también a otras mamás que también lo necesitan porque estamos creciendo como comunidad latina.
And
And I'm giving this testimony so that you can hear me and other mothers that are going through the same thing, because we're growing as a Latino community.
Y pues tener, si es posible, en traducción en varios idiomas para que nuestros hijos puedan tener mejores notas o cuando hagan la tarea.
The more noisy it is. Yeah, and so we want to have better translators and interpreters in our school and bilingual teachers, so that when it comes to doing homework, our children can succeed more and get better grades and be able to do homework more easily.
Eso es todo y muchas gracias.
That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And our last public comment is from Andrea Jenkins, Western High student. Agenda topic: class sizes for students and teachers. This will also be a video.
When it comes to class sizes affecting my ability to learn, it definitely has to do with how noisy a class is, because with the more people, the more noisy it is. And for example, in my A-push class, I think I have like a B+ in that class because of how distracted I get because of everyone talking and how big the class size is.
Class sizes impact my teaching experience because when I have more than 30 kids in a class, I'm not able to give individual attention to every single student. This is especially important when we're writing essays, and having more than 30 kids in a class also makes it really hard for me to grade. I have 30 kids in each class, 3 classes, which means I have 90 essays to grade, and sometimes I'm not able to spend.
Class sizes matter because if the class size is too large, it's a lot harder to give students individual feedback, both in the class period itself, because it's harder to check in and hear from every single student, but also on like essays and writing assignments or presentations and rough drafts, it's a lot harder to give individualized feedback to every student in a timely manner if there are giant classes.
That was the last public comment.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Jenkins. Based off of public comment, would any commissioner like to pull an item? Okay, before we vote on tonight's items, I will turn it over to Commissioner Slater Harrington for a committee report for the Teaching and Learning Committee.
Good evening. Great to see everybody. We had a pretty extensive Teaching and Learning Committee meeting this past week. I want to call out that we talked both about our math and our literacy goals for the district, but particularly want to note that we talked about high quality instructional materials that will be used to supplement curriculum that will be readily accessible to teachers and students. I wanted to applaud the staff for the work that they did to really explore the different options with teachers, with students, to really gain an understanding about what the needs were and what type of materials students would be most responsive to, but also would align with the district's, again, math and literacy standards. And so we heard about that, and we did a follow-up with regard to pre-K high quality instruction materials. We learned more about the outreach as a follow-up to a previous presentation that had been done to ensure that our youngest learners were getting the supports that they need. And so those were the large topics we talked about. We also revisited the charter process with Ms. Alvarez, and we also got to learn a little bit more about robotics and procurements to that end. So if I've missed anything, Commissioner Bay, did that capture everything? It was a lot.
That pretty much captured everything, and pretty good.
Yeah, we had a pretty robust discussion, and thank you staff for your patience as we had an extended meeting.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Slater Harrington. Is there a motion to approve the following items? Item 9.01, item 9.02, item 12.01, item 12.02, item 12.03, item 12.04, item 12.05, item 12.06, item 12.07, and item 20.01.
So moved, Reed.
Second, Slater Harrington.
Motion moved by Commissioner Reed. Motion seconded by Commissioner Slater Harrington. All in favor, Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner King Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawson,
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington,
Yes.
Commissioner Chair McFadden stepped away, and I am a yes. Motion passes with 9 in favor and 1 absent. I do want to circle back to committee reports. My apologies, Commissioner Lawson.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I thought she forgot about me over here. I'm not sure if Patricia or yeah, there we go. So the shirt that I have on today is the only thing I have to talk about. And that is my pep rally that I attended at Mary E. Rodman Elementary School, the MCAT prep rally. It was an amazing environment to be in, to see the whole school really rally together for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders who attended or who took, excuse me, the NCAP. The climate and the culture of the school, being positive about test taking, acknowledging where we may have our downfalls. But I would really like to thank Principal Goodwin and her entire staff for inviting me. The whole school had these shirts and they were just ready to take on MCAP. They talked about what it looks like if you don't know how to properly answer a question, how to prepare the night before for state testing. And they really just had like a positive outlook on state testing, which sometimes can be hard for our students. So that's all I have today, Vice Chair and Chair. And thank you to Principal Goodwin, her team, and the whole Mary Rodman family.
Do you have an announcement for us? I mean, because we
And
just
the
said that we
voting
had,
of-
right?
I
I'm
had a
just
feeling.
curious to know if there's an
So-
announcement.
This fall, I'll be attending Morehouse College in Orlando. This was a hard choice. After finally getting into all of my schools that I applied to, I landed with the Morehouse family. I'm really excited to start in the fall, and thank you to everyone up here for being so supportive and always ask me about my college decisions.
We're very proud of you, Commissioner Lawson, and congratulations on that. I know that we know that you're going to make Baltimore proud. And so we're very excited. I just wanted to make sure that the record reflected that tonight before we were able to move on. Also, thank you, Vice Chair, for moving the consent agenda. I'd also like the record to reflect that I am in favor of that, of the items on consent. Dr. Jenkins, thank you very much. We also had teaching and learning that met on May 7th. Commissioner Slater Harrington chaired that meeting. Oh, we already did it? Information items. 10.01. We're going to go right into FY 24 quarter 3 year-to-date budget and expenditures. No, we just had another presentation that I missed too. I was moving too quickly, but it's all up to you. Because I don't think this would be a lengthy overview. Go ahead, Mary Ann.
I'm sorry. Okay, greetings to everyone, to the board chair, board commissioners, the CEO and the cabinet, staff members, and of course, to our community partners. Pardon? Oh, okay, is that better? Okay, very good. Okay, my name is Mary Ann Cox. I'm the Deputy Chief Financial Officer for City Schools. I'm going to give a status update on where we are in our financial results for FY 2024 year-to-date Q3. I want to share my.
Mary Ann, it's Jonathan. I got it queued up for you. Just let me know where you want me to advance to.
Very good. I do want to note with this one, we present this not only because it's a good idea for us to give a presentation to our board on where we stand, but we are also required to present our financial information to the Baltimore City Finance and Performance Committee. It's a city legislation. So we are called to present information on a quarterly basis. And it is always our intention to present the information to the board first. And this time we made it. If you look at the dates on it, we are presenting this evening to the board and tomorrow to the city council. So we are very happy that it got to our board first. I wanted to move through this quickly. I know that there's a lot of other things. If you could go to the fourth slide, Jonathan. Okay, this is revenue. I'll just point out a few of the things that stand out about this. You know, we're roughly where you would expect us to be. 9 months into the year, you'd expect us to have 25% remaining. But we are so tied to the state of Maryland with the way they distribute our revenue. That's the largest item that we have. And we have received at year-to-date March 5 of the 6 payments that we get from the city, from the state. So that skews the percentage a little bit. City of Baltimore pays us semi-monthly every month of the year. So that's a more steady revenue stream. I do just want to point out for federal revenue, we have $6.3 million year to date. And of that, $5.6 million is a payment from the Emergency Connectivity Fund. It's the first time we received revenue from them. The reimbursements for this Emergency Connectivity Fund flow through USAC, which is the same administrative agency that processes our E-rate revenue. They're all funded by those little single line items on all our monthly phone bills that say they gather the money and they distribute it to local school systems. And we're very happy to receive this. I will say that we are in the midst of possibly another Emergency Connectivity Fund grant. The way we record it will depend on how quickly the Chromebooks are received and how quickly they're dispersed. So that's certainly in process now. Want to talk just a minute about investment earnings. You can see we have budgeted $1 million and actual 20.6. I wanted to point out that we city schools, like every other LEA in the state, are very restricted in what we're allowed to invest in. Most of our investments are in T-bills. So as goes the T-bill rate, so goes our investment income. And it's very flexible over the year. You know, I just have a chart here that says in FY 2023, we had 19.4 million in investment income. 22, we had 1.1 million. And in FY 21, we had 24,000. So it can really swing according to the T-bill rate, and the T-bill rate just happens to be high right now. Other revenue, or pretty much what you would expect, is everything that's not included in another line. That would be like our MSA revenue. That's $1 million of the 2 million there. Non-resident tuition and the rents and permits for use of the schools. Jonathan, could you go to the next slide, which is, okay, that's by category. We are required to report our expenditures by MSDE category, which that's what this is. I could tell you what's in each line item, but it's not particularly helpful for generally our readers. You know, we report our financial information according to the Teal book. And it really is a Teal book. It's a turquoise binder from MSDE that has all their rules and where we're supposed to report. So that's what we do. And this governs how we budget, how we report, and how we produce our audited financial statements. So if anyone has a question about that, I'd be happy to explain in a little more detail, but generally the one that is more meaningful is the slide right behind it, which is the expenditures by object. Okay, so that would be, that's it. Yes, salary and wages and benefits, which is what we call personnel costs, are the single largest component of all of our expenditures. We budgeted at 71.7% of the total budget, and it's sitting right now around 70.5%. I do want to point out that there are certain functions among us that we cannot hire the people. They're simply not out there to be hired. So then we do cash outs and we transfer the money from salary and wages and fringe down to contractual services. We do this especially for special ed, nursing, and some other things like that. But that will skew our percentages versus where we had budgeted. Yes.
You said salary and wages is 71%?
We had budgeted it at 71.7,
Okay,
and our actual is 70.5.
okay. What about fringe? What's the percent of that?
Well, the percent of the 70.5 fringe is 17.
Oh, fringe is part of that 70.5.
Yeah, that's in the 70.5.
Thank you.
I do want to point out that the reason why the numbers don't quite work out to like a quarter left, which is what you might expect, is we have 2.5 months remaining of school in session. So it's not a full 3 months. So we don't budget that way. So we will have expenditures for the 2.5 months of school plus any summer programs that start in June. We also, in the month of June, will have a rather large accrual for pay all year. You know, there are, we offer it to our teachers. They may elect to be paid all year. And so the rest of the year, they, you know, their pay is reduced, and then we make sure the costs go in the right place, and we do an accrual at year end. It's a rather large accrual, so that should bring the percentages back up to where we would expect. Just some comments, contractual services, we're right on. We're spot on that, you know, 25%, which makes sense, but we already have moved some things down there for the special ed cash out. Materials and supplies, there are expendables, or, you know, purchasing anything with a useful life less than 1 year. I do want to say that the utilities and other charges, when we look at that number, it's kind of a large number, almost 71 million. I want to note that this is where we have this is where we record the 20 million that City Schools contributes for the 21st Century Program. It's considered an other. It says utility and other charges. The MSA is considered other. property and equipment, that's if the useful life of the asset is greater than 1 year and the per unit cost is above a certain dollar amount. Principal and interest, just what you would expect. We have recorded roughly half of it, and that coincides with the way we make our payments. So we will true up to that. We generally make a very large principal payment in December and June. So it makes sense. Year to date March, we would have paid half of it. So that makes sense. Indirect cost recovery, they're working on that. That's more a timing issue than anything else. And transfers, we've talked about it before. That's a number on the larger size, but that's where we put our non-public tuition, or out-of-county living arrangements, informal kinship care. That's typically around 3 million a year and rising. Department of Juvenile Services and DHS, that's for our students in state supervised care. That's about $1.5 million. And Seed School, I believe we only get one bill once a year. And the bill we got last year for FY 2022 was about 2.6 million. So it's however many of our students attend the Seed School, we pay a charge of 85% of state and local revenue to the Seed School for educating them. So all in all, we're right where we would expect us to be. We have, because of the way the revenue payments come from the state, we only have 20.3% remaining of revenue and 29.4% in expenditures. But also what we have is those very large accruals for pay all year, and we have a lot of year-end large accruals that only get recorded once a year. So are there any questions that I could help anyone? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. I omitted a I moved a presentation. We're now going to go back to item 5.01. And that is the 2024 end of legislative session presentation. We have our legislative director, Ms. Dewana Merritt-Starrett, with us. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Then from there, we will move into 10.02 and 10.03.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Oh, I have an echo. Yeah, sorry about that. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, school board members, and Madam CEO. I'm Dewana Merritt-Starrett, the Director of Legislative and Government Affairs for the Baltimore City School Board. I'm here to give the final legislative wrap up for the 2024 General Assembly session. I have to say that this session was actually not that bad for the school board. We didn't get everything we wanted, but overall, it was generally a good session for the school board. We went into the session, if you recall, thinking that there was going to be major attacks on the blueprint funding because it was planned to be out of funds by fiscal year 27. Well, leadership was strong and they made some minor modifications, and they also moved the tobacco tax revenue to help fund the blueprint fund. So we are funded through 2027, which is still good, not the full 10 years, but it's still better than what we thought. So this session, it started on January 7th and ended on January 10th and ended on April 7th. It was a 90-day session for the public. There were over 2,700 bills that were introduced, and I tracked over 400 bills that had some sort of impact on education, policy, funding, or business operations. And before I go too far, I want to also acknowledge my colleague that is in Annapolis with me, my colleague and my friend, Melissa Broom, who is Melissa Marissa, if I get your title wrong, please forgive me. It's the Director of Policy and Legislation for the CEO. And together we are the dynamic duo in Annapolis, and we're doing really, really well for you all, if I say so myself. Oh, I'm sorry. Go here. Yeah, my screen keeps showing up. Oops. That's it. Good. I'm going to break my presentation up into these categories here. I'm going to do a little bit of funding. I know you passed the budget and you've had the recommendations of the CEO that you approved, but I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of how we ended this session. I'm going to go over some important legislation that you all should be aware of, and also legislation that board committees may want to hear about, as well as there'll be some policies that board committees will have to work with staff on implementing over the next year or so, and also some possible reintroductions that from bills that failed that will definitely, in my opinion, show up next year. So quickly, the overview, the state share did go up to about $1.15 billion, which is about 75% of our school systems funding. The local share from Baltimore City, what they provide to the school system is about $389 million. It's a few $1,000,000 less than what we got in FY24, not through any reason other than the fact that we had a little lower funded enrollment, and there was some calculations with the education effort, which is all normal. So I don't want anybody to think that there was a reason that they gave us less funding other than the way the formula works out. The neighborhood indicators of poverty. This is the issue that we talked about, how to count kids that are in poverty and how we can ensure that we get proper funding for them. While this issue is unresolved, I'll get into some information about how we actually are going to be able to move this forward in the next couple of years. Capital dollars, the capital improvement program. We're projected to get about 25.8 million. That might actually have been already settled. 90% was decided at the end of session, and the remaining 10% is given out in May. So I believe that's probably already in your capital budget that was just approved by the board. The Healthy School Facility Fund, that's a $90 million fund. We get about $45 million of it. Again, that is an issue that was a priority for the board about it's extending the life of that fund, and I'll get into some more specifics about how we're planning to do that. And Aging Schools, this is a capital fund that is provided to school systems to do those projects that don't actually qualify for capital program funding, but are a smaller quantity. The whole state program is $6.1 million. It's not large. We get maybe about $800 to $1 million of that funding each year. I wanted to talk also about a little bit of the funding that, as you know, the state is moving to have 3- and 4-year-olds have full day pre-K. We were the first jurisdiction to do that, but so we are ahead of everyone, and they break this down by tiers, tiers 1, tier 2, tier 3, based on poverty level. Right now we're providing full day pre-K for tier 1 students. And what the General Assembly did this year, because of their budget, because they are projected to have a budget deficit, they delayed the implementation of including payment for tier 2 students. So students, we do not have to have tier 2 pre-K students next year. And those are the students that are 300 to 600% above the federal poverty level. So we're not having those students this year. And in exchange for this delay, what they decided to do was to increase the per pupil in the 2027 and 2028 school year to about $19,000, almost $20,000. They've pushed that up a couple of years to offset the change in the pre-K formula. Blueprint coordinators, you know, the Blueprint for Maryland's Future required that every school district have a blueprint coordinator, and it was funded on a wealth equalized basis by the state of Maryland. And what this does is now make that position permanent, because before there was a sunset. So here's the board went into the session with several priorities. One, as I discussed earlier, was counting poverty. So what we did with the help of Chair of the city delegation, Stephanie Smith, we were able to get language into the governor's Enough program. That's his big poverty bill program that he introduced this session. And that language is to require that the governor's Office of Children have a study and report back on different methods that other jurisdictions across the state use to count poverty and determine eligibility for school funding when other districts are in the community eligibility program like we are. And so that was a very important language that we got in through the help of Delegate Smith. And that study is due October 1st of 2025. The pre-K para educators. This was another priority of the bill of the board, where we have a lot of para educators or paraprofessionals that have over 15 years of experience, and the law prior to this session required that they receive a associate's degree or child development degree to continue their work. And we thought this, considering that they're doing such a great job, that they should not be required to go receive or get an associate's degree or a child development associate certification. Your team in Annapolis did such a great job that they said, no, look, 15 years. If they have 5 years or more, they don't have to get this. So that was a big win for us. Another one is for the board's priorities, attracting and retaining educators. This is a program where local school systems can develop a collaborative that would put together funding and receive funding for expenses and administrative costs to identify future teachers and teacher preparation programs, and they can apply for grants to offset some of those costs, as long as they are willing to teach for 2 years in an area of high needs and or a shortage area. Again, the Healthy School Facility Fund. This was the language that, again, our chair, Delegate Smith, helped us get into the Public School Construction Funding and Administration Bill. While the Healthy School Facility Fund still is set to sunset in FY26, and this is the bill that allows us to do air and windows and temper control and et cetera. What they did do was to reestablish the work group on assessment and funding of school facilities. And this work group is going to look at assess the condition of all school buildings across the state. And as you know, Baltimore City has the oldest building stock in the state. And so they're going to look at all the conditions of the buildings across the state and come back with a recommendation January of 2026 of what they need to do to fund and to renovate and or construct new buildings. But in the meantime, if they don't come back with a recommendation, or the recommendations haven't started, that they've established the Nancy Kopp Public Facilities Fund of $70 million that will start in FY27. And that will duplicate almost exactly what the Healthy School Facility Fund does. It's not as much money, but at least it keeps us going until we can get the recommendations from the work group. Another one of the board priorities is mental health. And I have to recognize Commissioner Muhammad, because when we sat down in the fall, he said, you know, coaches, they're sometimes the first people that students go to when they have issues. Well, the General Assembly agreed with you. And so now the Maryland State Department of Education, along with the Maryland Department of Mental Health, they have to come up with guidelines of how to train coaches to recognize indicators of mental illness or children in distress. Another bill that occurred was about online products and services that are marketed to students, or to children, I should say. And this requires that every organization that does online marketing or provides online services to students must complete a data protection assessment. And this is a document that indicates where the data will be used and how it will be sent and transmitted to other organizations. And if there is an issue, if they do something outside of that data assessment, there are civil penalties. Another big priority for the board was special education. When I met with everyone in the fall, I talked about the special education advocates that were trying to change the burden of proof in due process hearings. And this is for the public. This is the hearings where a parent or guardian has an issue with an IEP or some sort of special education service. And they felt that when they bring an issue, that the onus is on the school board and the school system to decide to tell why they need to change the IEP or why the IEP is effective. Well, that's kind of contrasts what law does, because usually the moving party is the one that has to prove that what's happening is wrong. So they, for the last 2 years, they were trying to introduce to change that burden of proof, and they never were able to do this. So during the interim, the advocates got together with the school systems and my colleagues and I, and we came up with a compromise where the Maryland Volunteer Lawyers Service is going to represent parents when they have these special education issues. So the parents feel that they have someone there in the room with them that understands the law, can navigate through the process better. And the governor is setting aside, I believe it's $20 million to allow this, to set up this fund through the Lawyers Service. Also, the Maryland Achieving a Better Life Experience, or the ABLE program. This is just a, not just, but this is a program that allows people receiving disability funds to have a savings plan, and this will require local boards to distribute materials to families just to let them know about this program. And one other big thing I thought you might want to know is that there is a feasibility study to look at a statewide School of the Arts located in either Baltimore City or Prince George's County. Again, I just wanted to give you an idea that I call them earmarks. They don't actually call them earmarks in the state budget, but it's what the federal budget calls them. When senators and delegates, they can provide additional funding. They receive a certain set of funding per district to provide funds to various programs. And 3 of our schools receive some additional funding: the Lily Mae Carroll Jackson, Leith Walk, and Clay Hill Public Charter School. So here's the information about things that I think board committees would be interested in. House Bill 1426, that made a lot of alterations, mostly in the timing of when things are due for the blueprint for Maryland's future. I won't go through specifics, a lot of the specifics, because it was a voluminous bill, but it basically changed things because we had a late start on the blueprint, and so they had to modify dates that when things were due. But this also repeals things like the Geographic Cost of Education Index, which was the additional funds that school districts receive because they find it hard to attract and retain professionals. And that's been removed to the Comparable Wage Index and has to be updated every 3 years. Department of Social Services now has to give school boards a list of all children that are eligible for public pre-K, so we don't have to go out and search. We actually can get a list. Also, the AIB, which is the Accountability Implementation Board, which was set up by the blueprint, they are going to have their first progress report outlining how the blueprint is working by December 1st, 2026. And then they have to take that progress report and work with the General Assembly, Department of Legislative Services, and let the General Assembly leadership know if the blueprint is actually meeting expectations by January 15th, 2027. And also the Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act, they are requiring that there be a 5-year review of the blueprint. Teacher retention, this is a program that says not only you don't have to pass a portfolio-based assessment in order to get a teacher credentials, that school systems can develop their own induction program that's approved by the Maryland State Department of Education. And once they establish this program, they can use that as a pathway for students, for people to get a teacher certificate. The Freedom to Read Act, this was a major issue also with the General Assembly, because as you recall, there were some school districts that were banning books for various reasons. And so this is going to require a policy to be established, and I put it under teaching and learning, about how school systems review objections to materials that are in school libraries. And it also made it clear that if there's an objection to anything in the school library, the material stays in the library until a decision has been made, and that the librarian or teaching professional cannot be reprimanded or any sort of retribution if they were following the policy and procedures. Business operations, this is I put this first bill, HB 1115 and Senate Bill 1026, under operations, because this was the Maryland Association of Counties, better known as MACO's, one of their major bills this session, the Transparent Education Spending Act. They wanted to, MACO wanted to ensure that all budgets, school budgets in the state, had some sort of uniformity. And they also wanted to require that school boards could not transfer any more than 1% between funding categories or within funding categories. Well, the General Assembly said that the latter, the transfer of funds, was just too cumbersome and was not necessary. But they did believe that there should be some uniformity in the adoption of different of the school board budgets. I'm going to hurry up. I see looking at the time. Okay. The other one for audit, the audit committee, there is, as we know, the State Office of Legislative Auditors review all school systems once every 6 years. And the General Assembly is really concerned about repeat findings. So what this legislation says that if there is a repeat finding, the school system has 3 years to cure that repeat finding. And they have to cure it within 3 years by November 1st of that third year. For safety and wholeness, I think the student telehealth process is important. There needs to be a policy adopted that discusses how students can receive telehealth services, because like adults, they receive physician visits through virtually, and so there needs to be a policy and procedures to implement how they need to go about allowing students to do that, because they found that school districts are very dissimilar in what they do and not consistent with each school. The bronchodilator bill, House Bill 86, Senate Bill 180, this has been in for a couple of years, and this actually came about because a nurse, I forget which school district it was. There's a student that was in distress, and the student clearly needed help breathing, and the nurse took a bronchodilator from another student's and gave it to the child, and it saved the child's life. But in the process, the nurse was fired because it's illegal. So this bill says that if there ever is a child in distress, that the nurse or designated personnel is allowed to use the bronchodilator. However, I think this means that we are going to have to purchase bronchodilators in the nurse's suite so that they're available. So we're not taking it from the inhalers, yes. And I put that with safety and wholeness. I think that's important for that to look at. For the venue-specific emergency action plan, this is about a cardiac emergency response. This is a plan that, again, we need to have on file. It's sort of like having the AEDs that will designate who responds if there's an issue. Also making sure that the first responders know where to go, and sometimes put together a map of the school or the facility, but we need to implement and put a plan in place. Again, safety and wholeness. Some other miscellaneous things that everybody that has some sort of frequent interaction with a student will have to undergo an anti-bias training under HB 1386. I have that under teaching and learning policy. And also for board operations, this is the bid advertisement and threshold. It's not anything to do. It just really allows school boards now, when they have any sort of notice that they have to provide, whether it's for a bid or for a hearing or whatever, that they can do it not virtually, they can do it online, as opposed to the antiquated, the law says now, newspapers. And this is not anything to do, but just to let you know, or to be aware, that an educator, if they intervene in any sort of altercation at a school, that there is now civil immunity for that educator, as long as they're acting within the course of their duty. And finally, some bills that fail, but I think may be reintroduced next year. School buses, seat belts. This is a big topic. Years ago, they said, no, you shouldn't put seat belts on schools. It's more dangerous to have kids with seat belts. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, no, we need seat belts on schools. I'm on school buses, and actually, the electric buses have to have seat belts. So the General Assembly is going to have to figure out what they want to do with this. School construction, the public charter schools, we discussed this in the fall. This is the second year in a row that they introduced legislation that would allow public charter school to have a separate set of funding for school construction. It was for rent, for debt service, for renovations. It was $2,000 per child. It came out to be $48 million for the charter schools that they would be able to tap into. That did not pass. Restorative practices in school, that was requiring all schools to have a comprehensive plan initially as it came in to do restorative practices. The General Assembly felt that, you know, each school district should decide what they want to do. And there's a task force to study the Maryland online special education system. This was just an online special education database that may come to fruition or they may need to modify. And I put a little asterisk there for artificial intelligence in the classroom. That's going to be a big issue. I don't know enough to talk about it, but I know it's going to be a very big issue as we move forward.
Well, it's a
It has
thing.
become-
It's a thing.
Yeah.
And you know, we spent some time, the board, I think it was at most recently NSBA, where there was a lot of talk with school board members and superintendents across the country around implications of the use of artificial intelligence in schools. So appreciate you lifting that. I'm curious to see how our legislators navigate through that over the next few years.
And you have the full legislative report as well as all the bills that passed and failed. So if you have any questions now or later, please let me know. There's a lot. This was the tip of the iceberg.
Thank you, Devon. I see Commissioner Sally's hand and Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. I just want to make sure we, as we're developing our calendar for the upcoming year for FY25, hopefully some of this information can be incorporated into our schedule, whether in committee or in our public meeting, however it fits, in policy revisions or edits, you know, amendments to regulations, or just work that's happening in committee, or even just updates to the board around certain things that take effect on July 1. That's a pretty rapid timeline for when some of these things are going to be actualized. So appreciate your work, Dewana, and for your presentation. Commissioner Sally, then Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Yeah, I just want to echo your thanks to Dewana. I had an opportunity to work very closely with her through my work and role representing the board, the Maryland Association of School Boards of Education. I think Dewana has done a phenomenal job of representing the board's interests this year, helping to make sure that we have an opportunity to engage in this process and to represent our needs here in Baltimore City, and making sure that broadly the association and the state really understands the unique context of Baltimore City. So I just want to share a great debt of gratitude for the work that Dewana has led this past session. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sally. And just for the awareness of folks here, Commissioner Sally represents Baltimore City on the MABE Legislative Committee, the Maryland Association of Boards of Education. So thank you for that. Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
I just wanted to say that you are the city schools legislator down in Annapolis. You have done a yeoman's job, what you've done. And I just wanted to say that you have fought through quite a bit and you've come and brought us quite a way. I thank you for all your work. And that's all I wanted to say, is that you're phenomenal. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Melissa, thank you. We've reached out to Melissa at earlier in the school year for a few things that we needed. So certainly Melissa and Dewana, thank you both. Are there any other questions or thoughts or comments? I see a hand still virtually. I'm not sure who that hand may be. Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you, Dewana. Item 3.02, policy FFA, the school facility, the Edmondson gym.
Good evening, Dr. Santulisa, some members of the board. My name is Holly Bedwell. I'm from the Office of Achievement and Accountability.
I think my name is DeWitt Doss, Dr. Santulisa, and the school board. I'm from Emerson Westside High School and athletic director at that building.
For the board and public's information, we're sharing a proposal to name the gymnasium at Edmondson Westside High School this evening. This proposal aligns with strategic priority number 5, in which city schools will provide equal access to district services, resources, and facilities to ensure the success of students, staff, and the surrounding community. Next slide. Okay, so the goal of this proposal is to preserve the legacy of Coach Darnell Dantzler, who's been the head boys basketball coach at Edmondson for over 18 years. And we would accomplish that goal by naming the gymnasium in his honor. Next slide. The gymnasium is an integral part of the Edmondson school community, and it aligns with the work of Coach Darnell Dantzler. Currently at this time, there are no other names being considered for the gymnasium. My colleague.
Well, I know Darnell Dantzler, he's actually been been a basketball coach at Edmondson Westside High School for the past 18 years. He won the first seed A conference championship in 2010 for Edmondson Westside High School. He's won 4 state championships. The last 2 back-to-back, with his son as being one of the leaders of the team as well, too. So when I say about Darnell, he's just been an integral part of the actual community. He's a stakeholder. Again, his son goes to the school. He's done a phenomenal job with teaching students how to be young men. It's not just about winning games in the court. We have a couple of NBA players that have come back, speak to our kids. Keandre Cook graduated in 2015. Stan Kidd graduated in 2010. Those guys are notable names, played for Utah Jazz, and they played for the Charlotte Hornets previously. Darnell does a fantastic job, just not with those guys, with other guys. We got guys working in community, guys that work at Verizon, guys that work at Comcast, guys that work in Baltimore City schools. We have guys that just been doing phenomenal things and teach them how to raise their family and be a mentor, be a guide, show them how to do certain things with their after they graduate. One thing I commend Darnell on is every Thanksgiving, we have a workout, a practice where all these old players come. They talk to the young men. I know some of the parents are like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. I want my kids to be at home, but they come through. And he's like, I'm like their father. I've been there with them. I mentor them. So I want to have them for that Thanksgiving every single year. They come back, we take a group picture. We talk about all the different accomplishments, what guys do with their family, and things that they continue to do in the future. And just it continues to inspire them and guide them along their way as they continue to grow as men and be fathers in the community, not just at Edmondson and in Baltimore City.
Take a quick moment to review the process and timeline. The first step to initiate the process for a naming or renaming is for the school or stakeholder to submit FFA Form 1 to the Office of Achievement and Accountability, and that kicks the process off. The next step would be that a naming committee is convened. They will meet with that committee to discuss the process and the timeline and start planning community engagement activities. Next, we will bring the proposal to the board, and that's what brings us here this evening. All throughout this time, the community engagement activities are happening, and the school community, Mr. Johnson will probably talk more about that, is being engaged, whether it be students, staff, or community members. The process wraps up with a community school vote, and then we will bring the results of the community engagement and the vote back to the board on June 11th for the board's final vote. Are there any questions?
I'll just add that I was excited to watch this year's championship. We took another one, so congratulations. And I appreciate the effort that you're making, because sports and our schools are extremely important. That coaches are more than coaches just to the young men that they coach on their team, but they are models for our school. So glad to hear that this effort is being made. Excited to see what comes out of community input. And hopefully, if this happens, I'd love to be there with you to put it up. Appreciate the work.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're now moving to policy JLCDB. This is first reader, anaphylaxis, identification and treatment in schools. Good evening to you.
Good evening to members of the board, Dr. S, City Schools family. I won't be before you long. It'll be really quick. I'm here this evening to present updates to board policy JLCDB, which is around anaphylaxis and treatment in our schools. Next slide, please. So the purpose of us having to revise this policy is to give greater clarity to the school community as well as families around what actions need to be taken for students with anaphylaxis, as well as to make sure our policies are in line with MSDE and MDH guidance that came about following House Bill 78. The U.S. Department of Education also released new guidance. We also just want to make sure we're in line with best practices in other school districts and in line with our other recent policy that underwent revisions, which is board policy ADF. Next slide, please. JLCDB is in alignment with board priorities 4 and 5. Next slide. So some of the key features of this board policy and the administrative regulation is that it authorizes school nurses and the school nurse staff, as well as designated staff in the school, to actually give epinephrine to a student who is undergoing an anaphylactic reaction. It also outlines the training requirements for all staff. It outlines what needs to take place as far as a nursing assessment and an action plan, which will be highlighted later. Proactive steps to protect students who have anaphylactic reactions within their school. We give recommendations for school-wide as well as classroom actions that could take place. It outlines the acquisition, storage, and replacement of epinephrine in our schools, the protocols for students to self-administer, as well as what is required for parental notification and reporting requirements to the state. Next slide, please. There will be a retitling of this policy. The areas that are highlighted in yellow are the additions. So now it's anaphylactic allergies, identification, management, and treatment in schools. An administrative reg is the procedures for identification, management, and treatment of students' anaphylactic allergies in school. Next slide, please. We also had to include a new definition for major food allergies, major food allergens, and this came from the actual law. So it refers to foods, milks, eggs, fish, crustacean shellfish, tree nuts, wheat, peanuts, soybeans, and sesame, which according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration account for 90% of allergies and serious allergic reactions in the United States. Next slide, please. We included a new definition, which is the Allergy and Anaphylaxis Action Plan, or the AAAP, as is referred to in other areas in the document. And it's a plan that's completed by the schoolhouse suite staff for students with severe allergies. It identifies other allergy management protocols, reasonable accommodations, and promotes the development of student advocacy skills related to their health needs. It also serves as a communication tool for all individuals within city schools who may come in contact with that student. Next slide, please. Some proposed revisions include streamlining guidance around the nursing assessment and the development of this AAAP, as well as Section 504 plans when appropriate for students with anaphylactic allergies, the development of proactive school-wide and classroom management protocols, clarification around staff training requirements, and highlights the responsibilities of students, their parents, as well as school staff. So when we discuss proactive school-wide measures, we've written a policy in a way that not all schools have to do all things, and what the school does implement is based on what the student's allergy is and their reaction and what's required for them. So some measures include designating food-free areas, having a safe zone within a cafeteria, ensuring that staff members who are trained in anaphylaxis is present not only during the school day, but during school trips in the cafeteria, as well as in after-school programming as appropriate. Making sure that all staff are aware of the risk of bullying the students with anaphylaxis may face, as well as protocols for acquiring, storing, and replacing epinephrine, both that students self-administer and those that are administered by the school. Next slide, please. Some of the classroom measures include ensuring that the student who has anaphylaxis sits at the same desk and that is cleaned appropriately, that we use alternatives to foods as rewards, clarify rules regarding snacks and notifying parents in the classroom, that there is a student in class who has a severe allergy, as well as making sure that all food brought in is store-bought, labeled, and packaged. Training requirements, all school-based employees, including bus drivers and bus attendants, must receive general awareness training to recognize the symptoms of anaphylaxis. But there's also a guideline for the principal designee to identify staff who will learn how to administer epinephrine. And these staff members have to go and attend an additional training to learn how to actually use the auto injector. So this was a tier 2 revision. So we did do stakeholder engagement. It was posted on City Schools website. It was sent to our university partners as well as the health department. And we also received feedback from several city school groups. Next slide. So some of the feedback that we received in here is the responses that we made within the red lines. So from the board, they wanted to clarify if the policy is applicable to after school. So we did add this into the regulation. Charter and operator-led schools, they said the families needed to be included in the discussions about how their students' allergies are being accommodated. So additional language is added to highlight the interaction with families and their responsibilities. They also asked for additional clarity for school staff around readily find out students having allergies and how to accommodate them. So there was some language in the regulation requiring that the school health suite staff is to ensure that relevant employees are trained and are aware of the student's AAAP and how to implement it. From the BTU, they asked if staff would be released from liability if they administered an EpiPen, and under policy JBEH and Maryland law, as long as they were not willfully and grossly negligent in giving an EpiPen to the child, they are protected. And then BTU also asked to provide additional clarity on the trainings that the staff will receive, and we included information about the general trainings in the regulation. So we are here tonight for first reader, and we'll be back for second reader on June 11th, if all goes well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pate, for the presentation. I'm going to first turn it over to our Policy Committee Chair, Commissioner Esposito, and then members of the Policy Committee just to weigh in, as this is our first reader. Commissioner Esposito.
Hello, thank you. Sorry, it took me a minute to unmute. But yeah, thank you for including all the feedback. And it's really interesting because what Mr. Rett just presented about the law change with liability, I'm wondering if like it looks like it kind of like influences and it's perfect timing to like add that to this. So the recommendation from BTU, was that part of the legislative session?
You said, was it part of the legislative session?
Did it come from the bill that was passed during the legislative session, or I guess
No,
I'm
it was
wondering.
already the law and city schools policy.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Great job.
Anyone? Commissioner Slater Harrington?
This is personal.
Share your microphone.
Oh, sorry. This is personally relevant to me and very important having experienced scares like this. And I do see the alignment with the previous presentation around policy and the use of inhalers. Not all of our children in schools will have been tested to know their acute reaction to allergens. So I'm wondering, do we now, or with this policy update, include the requirement to have EpiPens available?
So currently we have 2 EpiPen juniors and 2 adult EpiPens in every school
Very
at
good.
all times.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Thank you, Dr. Pate.
Thank you.
Safety and Wholeness Committee will meet on Thursday, May 16th, 2024 at 4:00 p.m. The Operations Committee will meet on Tuesday, May 21st at 10:30 a.m. The Policy Committee will meet that same day at 4:00 p.m. The next meeting of this board will be on Tuesday, May 28th at 3:30 p.m. We'll meet in exec session, and then the public board will meet at 5:30. That will be that next meeting. I also just want to highlight finally too that we are in Fine Arts Month. I see you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. We're in Fine Arts Month, right? So city schools, and they've been having performances, right? Have they been beautiful performances?
Hey.
Incredible. So we're very excited about our students, their innovation, their creativity, and how that is on display. Hopefully we can capture some of that in media presentations and certainly share with our media partners who like to lift up the good news in city schools. Commissioner Bear, you have something?
Yeah, I just, I just wanted to share, and I made sure that everybody on the dais up here has a copy of this, and I have some more if you want them. We have just finished a primary, and we're going into a season where you're going to have a lot of diverse ideas and diverse confrontations or thoughts or greetings of people. And so I want to make sure that we all begin to understand how we communicate one with the other with dignity. This is the dignity index. And I want people to begin to understand when we communicate, no matter where we are, no matter where we stand, or no how we disagree or agree with each other, we need to move forward. And the only way we can move forward is through dignity and respect for one another. I have more of these up here, but I want people to, this was put out by a group called the Dignity Index. Tim Shriver leads that group. So I just want people to be to recognize how we communicate one with another so we can all move forward together.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. Can we also give the student commissioners' parents a round of applause? They just entered the room. What an incredible young adult you now have on your hands, because he's definitely no longer a child legally, and he's made that very clear to us. So we're just very proud of him, and we just want to take a moment to celebrate you. You're very active, and we know that it takes a village to raise one, and you all have done an incredible job with Commissioner Lawson. So thank you to parents, family, and to all of our graduating seniors. We're in that space. It's prom season, it's graduation season, and we are really excited to be at these graduations in the next couple of weeks. When is BSA's graduation?
June 6th.
They all know
It's a
those days.
Thursday. Baltimore Center Stage.
All right, so thank you all.
And
Is there a
we
motion
also
to-
just point out that both of Commissioner Lawson's parents are city schools employees.
Look at that.
as well.
Just runs in the family, right? It just runs in the family. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Kenyatta Bay.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Slater Harrington, any unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by actually, let's do a roll since we have Vice Chair Roberts, Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay, Commissioner Lawson,
Yes.
Commissioner Muhammad,
Yes.
Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
I am also in favor. That motion passes with 9 in favor and 1 absent. Thank you all. Have a great evening. We will see you next time.
Great.
Sister's graduation the same day.
Where's she graduating from?
The county school. She graduated from